Trying to work out which sewing machine needle you should be using for your project can be a bit of a challenge, especially when there's so many to choose from. And when you look at the packet, the information's written in a strange code. I'm Ollie, this is Simply Stitchy, and in today's video I'm going to show you how you can easily break that code. Come on, let's find out. The first thing that you'll notice on the needle packet is it'll actually tell you what you can use the needle for. These needles are for stretch fabrics, so you're looking at active wear. These say jeans, so these would be suitable for denim fabrics or heavy cottons. These say quilting, so you can use these for quilting projects. Then you have jersey needles. Now jersey needles are used for knit fabrics. And then you have your speciality needles like these, which say top stitch. This one is a twin needle. Twin needles are useful for sewing fabrics like fleece. And you've also got something called microtex needles. Now these are needles that are just that little bit sharper, and you can use them on projects where you just need that extra bit of oomph from a sharper point. These needles say universal, and a lot of people believe that that means that you can use them in any sewing machine, which isn't strictly true, but we'll get onto that in a little while. What universal actually means is that these needles are the sewing machine needles equivalent to all-purpose sewing thread. You can use these needles on any fabric. At the bottom of this packet of universal needles there are 2 rows of numbers, and you'll see similar numbers on other needle packets too. This particular packet here starts with a 7010 and goes all the way up to 116, and this one says 8012. Now what those numbers are referring to are the size of the needle, so it's the needle diameter. When it comes to needle sizes, there are 2 different systems. There's the European system and the US system, or more accurately the metric system and the imperial system. Now the 2 rows of numbers that are across the bottom of most needle packets that look like little tiny fractions, they're made up of those 2 numbering systems. The larger numbers, the 70s, the 80s, the 100s, are the European metric system. The smaller numbers that look a bit like dress sizes, the 10, the 12, the 14, that's the US system. Now what they actually refer to, the metric system, refers to the millimetres of the actual shank of the needle, and what you're looking at is a 90 is actually 0.90 millimetres. Now for most of us, we don't tend to make anything of the difference in those 2 numbers. What we tend to do is we tend to roll them both into one. Me for instance, I'll say a 7010 or an 8012 or a 9014. Some people will say a 10 or a 12, and yet others will say 90 by 14 or a 70 over 10. It doesn't really matter. The most important thing that you need to bear in mind is, regardless of whether it's a 7010 or an 80 by 12, those 2 numbers mean exactly the same thing. You remember a while ago I said that universal on a packet of needles doesn't mean that you can use them on any sewing machine. On this packet of needles and on this packet of jersey needles, you will see that there's a sequence of numbers that is the same on both packets, and it's here. It's 130 over 705H. If you're looking for sewing machine needles to fit your domestic sewing machine, that is the number that you're looking for. not the universal, that reference, that 130/705H. Now Schmetz make needles for most of the main brands of sewing machines, so you're looking Brother, Singer, Janome, Babylock. They also make needles to fit some of the lesser known brands like Eversewn. They also do industrial needles, but only the domestic range will have this number, 130/705H. Now I don't have any Schmetz industrial needles. What I do have though is this packet of Gross Beckett. These are for the Wheeler & Wilson D9 that I've got, and they're actually substitute needles. You'll notice the codes on here. You've got an MY 1014B, an SMX 1014B and an MY 1014A. These are all referring to industrial sewing machines. These needles won't fit into the machines that these needles were made for, and these needles won't fit into domestic sewing machines because the style, the shape and the size of the needles are different depending on the type of sewing machine that you've got. So domestic home use sewing machines, you're looking for 130/705H, not universal. As mentioned earlier, universal, the same as jersey, refers to the fabric that you can use the needles with. You'll also find that there's some letters usually after that needle specification. Those refer to the actual needle tip and denote what kind of point that these particular needles have got. It's all very well knowing that your 0.90mm needle is suitable for heavyweight fabrics. The problem is, fabrics, when you go out to the fabric store to purchase some, don't usually get categorised by heavyweight or lightweight. You're more likely to find they're called denim, corduroy, chambray, georgette, duck cloth, broadcloth, cotton lawn. How do you go about translating your needle size to the type of fabric that you want to use? The good news is that the makers of the finest sewing machine needles in the world have got us covered where that's concerned, because they've got an app for that. This is the Schmetz website, and I'm going to be putting a link in the description box to this site and to the resources section on here, because I think you're going to find this information invaluable in your sewing journey. Now if we go to the section marked resources for a moment, in here you will find everything that you ever wanted to know about sewing machine needles. And if we click on needles by fabric type and scroll up, you've got an A to Z list of different fabrics that you can sew. Now if we stop here on the K section for a minute, you'll see knits, and here it tells me that I should be using a jersey needle, either a 70/10 or 100/16, depending on the thickness of the fabric that I've got. And we can also try that for denim jeans. You want a 90/14 or 110/18, because denim is quite a thick, heavy fabric. If we have a look at some lightweight fabrics, we've got chiffon. For that you're looking at a universal or a microtex needle, and the needles are quite fine. We've got a 60/8 and a 70/10, so they're quite thin needle. We've also got here is the Schmetz pocket guide. Now this is actually something that you can download and have as a handy reference in your sewing area, and it lists everything that they've got on their website in a handy printout guide. It tells you the different needle points, goes into needle anatomy, and it shows you the difference between the different types of needle and the eyes that that needle has. It even tells you when you should change the needle. It goes into more detail about colour coding, which I use this all the time because I can never remember what needle I've got in what sewing machine. It also, so you don't have to remember everything that I've gone through in this video, it gives you a visual diagram explaining what the different numbers and the coding on sewing machine packages actually stands for, and then it'll go into details about the different kind of needles that you can get. This video wasn't sponsored by Schmetz, but I did reach out to them to ask them for permission to use the imagery and information that they hold on their website, which they graciously agreed that I could do. So thanks a lot for that, Schmetz. I hope you liked today's video, and I hope it's helped you figure out which sewing machine needle you should be looking for your next project. Why not let me know in the comments how you get on? And why not go and check out some of the other videos that I've got on my channel using the links that will be on the screen any minute now, or the ones I'll put in the description box for you. And why not subscribe and hit that little bell so that YouTube can give you a notification when I upload another video. In the meantime, whatever you're sewing it with, embrace your creativity and have fun. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.